about it, but hey, I'm glad he's playing. Even if he had to take that $57,000 fine to get it done. And hey, your Eagles are now 1-0 on the season. And I know a lot of people didn't like the way that shook out and what that looked like. But hey, when you got 4 games, the first 4 games are really your preseason for all your starters. At the end of the day, you just want to get through these first 4 and get as many W's under your belt so that, once you get to week 5, week 6, you can start, running the table. I'm in our new studio here. We won't be doing the podcast from this spot every single week, but I got a special in-house guest that's joining me tonight. And you guys usually know I got my 30-minute soliloquy about, what happened in the game. But I'm going to give him the whole hour because I'm pretty sure it's going to be interesting. Me and this guy, we've had our ups and downs, our agreements, our disagreements, more disagreements than agreements. But I'm going to bring him in. Some of you guys refer to him as the king. Because I got him on my show tonight, I'm going to refer to him as the king. Howard Eskin, live in studio with me tonight on my podcast. And first order of business,
yes.
Last week I was on Howard's podcast, and I said, hey, there is no way in hell that the Eagles are going to have a celebration of their Super Bowl victory with the dropping of the banner and the players aren't going to be on the field. And Howard swore up and down that they weren't going to be out there, that Nick was so adamant about this whole thing where, we want the players to forget about it. How the hell you forget about the most exciting thing that happened in your life from the perspective of what you do and what it means to you? And he said, I bet you $1. And I was like, hell, I'll give you 100-to-1 odds. Well, I lost. So there's $100, Howard.
Right.
I want everybody to know that I paid my debts.
And I will donate this, as I said, to charity. I have 2 SPCAs, which I support, Brandywine Valley SPCA and Providence Animal Center. And I will split it between the both. That will go to them. But that was like stealing. I should be taken out in handcuffs because that was so easy to win that bet. It was that's who Nick Sirianni has turned into, and I don't think it's right. The fact that he ignores we're not defending champions. All right, Nick. See, I would ask at the news conference, well, then who is the defending champion? Well, I don't know. Wait a minute. You're a head coach in the NFL. You don't know who the defending champion is? And then this nonsense, and I like Nick I think he's got a personality. His news conferences are a waste of time. But really, he says less than nothing. It's like, I'm going to finish it, and then I'm going to get into what he said less than nothing before. He said, okay, no references to the Super Bowl. Yet, when you come out of the locker room, and people see it when they have it on TV, and the players especially, I guess more so when you leave the field, you see those signs up along the wall leading to the locker room. Well, the last sign before they make the turn to go through the tunnel to get on the field is this big Super Bowl 59 display. It's on the wall. It's got Jeffrey Lurie holding the trophy, Super Bowl 59. So how can you tell the players, well, we didn't win a Super Bowl, and it's right up there on the wall? I'm sure if it was up to him, he wouldn't have it up there. All right, now let me tell you why he says less than nothing. He had a question on Monday, the first day he spoke after the game. And the corner, and I'm sure we'll discuss it, one of the corners is not good enough. And they're going to feel it, and they got to figure out the best person I feel should be at corner is Cooper DeJean. So somebody asked him, whether he wants to do that or not, somebody asked Nick Sirianni, well, during camp, you thought about Cooper DeJean playing one of the corners. So, how do you look at that now? He went through, he's a good athlete. He went through all the positions. He's really a good athlete. He could play all these positions. He said he could even play offense. That wasn't a question, Nick. I don't care whether you can play offense. I know he's a terrific athlete, and I don't care and he's a kick returner, and he's a punt returner, and the question was about the corner position. Then the next day, Vic Fangio says, as it stands right now, Adoree Jackson's going to be the corner. So why can't you say that?
Well, because
what?
Nick is the type of head coach that he just engages with, the media, the fans, in every single way. There's a lot that Nick says that he probably shouldn't say.
Like what?
Just sometimes he rambles.
But he rambles to say nothing.
But I don't care, because at the end of the day, this guy has taken this team to 2 Super Bowls. He's 1-1. And because you were front row and center for it last year, I ripped him every which way to Sunday those first 4 weeks. But I'm going to tell you, I'm a fan of Nick, because
I like him as a coach.
If you can grow up before my very eyes, the way he did last season, and get those players to believe in you and what you're selling, that's the hardest thing in the world. Because I've seen locker rooms where the head coach is up there speaking, and there's like 20 guys in the back just kind of rolling their eyes like, oh boy, here we go again with this,
And then at meetings, half of them are sleeping.
Well, I don't know about that. No.
Well, they sit in the back and they kind of doze off. But when he had that.
What's wrong with sitting in the back? I sat in the back.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, but I was a film ward, study ward, man.
Well,
whatever I didn't get in team film study, I got on my own after practice was over.
And people ripped him for the flower thing. It's like flowers and grapes. But he talked about growing together from the roots up. And players, I talked to players afterwards, they listened. Then he ran one video it was a video on Saturday Night Live. It must have been 10 years ago, where Peyton Manning was throwing the ball and drilling kids, knocking kids down. He played that. I forget what the reason for that was, but I like the way he gets their attention. He is a good coach. He really has a good personality, but he doesn't show it to the fans, because everything he rambles about nothing, and he tops it off with more of nothing. Just tell the people.
Yeah,
you're not ripping anybody.
You know what, Howard? Philadelphia is a dangerous place for head coaches, to show their personality. You almost have to, show them what's in the left hand while the right hand's behind your back, because you got to deal with the ups and downs, the wins and the losses, the good times and the bad times as the head coach. So you can take your players and you can wrap your arms around them and pull them close to you and your coaching staff. But the fans, in a lot of ways, as a head coach, you got to kind of keep them at arm's length. Because if they get too close to you and you don't have success, they turn on you, like rabid dogs.
But it's hard to get a player to respect you and love you or like you, whatever you want to use. Bill Belichick could never get that done. And in the end, I think they kind of, a few of them, well, not everybody liked him. But if you get both, you get the players to go through the wall for you. And I think he does get the players to go through the wall. But at a news conference, just share some things with the fans. Just share some things.
No, listen, they are so afraid of giving away too much information.
He's clamped down,
it's just
muzzled.
not. But it's just not him, Howard. It's not just Nick. That's the way the organization is run.
Well, but the other coordinators speak. They give you true answers.
Yeah, they do. And I'm going to jump ahead just because it's relevant to what we said. I got it on my sheet right here. So Kevin Patullo today, he was asked about running against a heavy box.
Yep.
Okay. And he said, we didn't run against as many heavy boxes as it may seem like we did.
Yeah, I heard
He said, quote, sometimes it wasn't blocked right. So when I scrolled down, through my Twitter feed, and somebody was like, "Oh, look at him! He's throwing the players under the bus."
Didn't name a player though. Didn't name a player.
It doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter. I retweeted it and said, "What is wrong with the truth?" Okay.
Right.
If the player didn't block it right, okay,
Exactly.
or if they got their ass handed to them trying to block it, is that not the truth? What did he say that wasn't the truth? Because somebody's going to make more out of that than it really is.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it's the truth, then
Nothing
why
wrong
do
with
you
the truth.
care?
The truth will always set you free, and you're honest. What's wrong with being honest? Obviously,
What's wrong? What's
when
wrong with
Saquon
it?
Barkley only has 60 yards?
Yeah,
Obviously, they
on
didn't do a
18
good enough.
carries.
Yeah, they didn't do a good enough job.
Yeah, but my thing is, what's wrong with accountability? You know,
Nothing.
so I've been at both ends. Well, I won't say I've been at both ends of the spectrum because I don't know what this NFL even looks like, the way that they protect the players. You know, the coaches now, it's like, well, you know, I got to coach them better. I got to do a better job of putting them. How about they do a better damn job at their job? How about that?
It's always the players that play the game. The coach can only put him. And when he's horrible coach, and we know there's been some horrible coaches in the NFL, and they still won because they had great players. Barry Switzer, years ago, took over Jimmy Johnson's team, and he won a Super Bowl. Barry Switzer was an idiot. But he was an idiot. But he had great players, and he ended up winning the Super Bowl. The players are the ones that win the game for you, and it's just, if there's bad plays, sometimes the players got to make it a good play if you don't like the call. You know, the other team's trying too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Well, I say it all the time. You know, those guys on the other side get paid to play too.
Yep.
They practice, they watch film, they go through all the weekly machinations that the other teams do. And you know, sometimes coaches have to overcome knucklehead players, and sometimes players have to overcome coaches who make bad calls. You know, and the team that can do both is the team that's going to have the most success.
You know what? Sometimes coaches make players look better than they really are. Where I get along with Chip Kelly, believe it or not, and I've stayed in touch with him since he's left. Just what's that?
Figures.
Yeah. Well,
You're the only person I've ever heard say that you got along with Chip Kelly.
I got along with him because if you go up and talk to him, I told him he made a mistake one time.
What mistake was that?
It was a game they ended up losing. I think it was
Trading two of the best players on the team?
Well,
no, I digress. Go ahead. Let me stop cutting you off.
That's all right. It was against Arizona, and they're 4th and 2, and a touchdown puts the game away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I try to remember if he kicked the field goal, and then Arizona goes right down the field. It was a bad play by the defensive, the corner, I think it was, or the safety. And Arizona ends up winning the game. So I said to him, I says, Chip, you always told people that you had balls and you would go for it. I said, why didn't you go for it? And that night on Sunday night football, I forget who the teams were, but one team was in the same situation and they went for it and they scored. And I don't know. And he had, I forget what his answer was, but I stopped him in the stairwell. I said, Chip, can I ask you a question? He said, sure. So I told him, I said, I thought you had balls and you don't go for it? I mean, it's just, I went over it and he just said, hey, you know, I forget what his response was, but we talk about it. People were afraid to talk to him because he seemed so strange and aloof. Now, I don't think he was a good NFL head coach, because he tried to put a square peg in a round hole a lot of times with the players that he had. So sometimes the coach puts you in bad spots. Now that he's the offensive coordinator for the Raiders, we'll see how well he does. They won the first game.
They won last week.
Yeah, they won the first game.
I think that's the best place to put him.
He was the offensive coordinator for Ohio State. They won a national championship. Yeah.
That's all right. Listen, the guy knows football.
Yeah,
you know,
he really does know football.
He's just not a leader of men from the standpoint of being
Different
a head
kind
coach.
of guy.
You know, he's a coordinator. Let him work his magic.
That was Buddy. Buddy was a coordinator.
Keep him away from the masses.
I know you disagree. Buddy Ryan was a coordinator. He wasn't a head coach.
No, I do disagree because I really believe that if Buddy was given the time, when you're as bad as the Eagles were through that time leading up to Buddy becoming a head coach, it takes quite a bit of time to build a roster. And a lot of people say, well, oh, you know, he was so focused on the defense. Well, you know, he was focused on the offense. He just didn't get a chance to get there. And I think if Norman Brayman, you know, could have got out of his own way, there might have been a chance, you know, for us to really do something special. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about that time right now.
I know, but we're talking about head coaches putting guys in the right positions.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and I think Nick Sirianni does that for the most part. I think he's a good head coach.
I think
But
the players like him.
Yep.
And if the players like him, who gives a hell?
Yeah, and they'll play harder.
Who gives a hoot what we think
They
about
go
him
to
if
the
the
wall
players
for
like him?
They go to the wall for He just doesn't. His news conferences are like a snooze fest.
And listen, man, the organization is like that. They're not giving you anything.
Well, yeah, but he's told by
you went out, you go out and you pick up a running back today, and you leave everybody scratching their head. Now somebody's got to be hurt. Why aren't you telling us who hurt?
That's exactly right.
You're gonna wait till the NFL deadline before you have to declare that a guy's injured.
Okay,
when you
I'm going to
already
tell you
picked
what
up another
I'm going to
running
tell
back?
you what's going to happen. Wednesday is his next news conference for the week, and people are going to ask, because it's the first practice day, what about Landon Dickerson? Had a bad back. What about Landon? Well, he's working hard to rehab. We'll see. Well, do you think he's going to play? I don't want to say that right now. We'll see. He pretty much knows whether he's got a good chance. He's got a good chance to play, or he's going to have to work hard to play. That's all you have to say. You got to pick up another running back. Like, why did they pick up a running back? Apparently, Shipley, I saw somewhere, and I don't always believe what's on social media, Shipley has a bruised or has a rib injury. I don't know what it is. But if you're picking up a running back, it's got to be more. I think it's got to be more than a bruise.
Well, I mean, to give up a 5th and a 6th round pick, I know you like inundated with picks over the next 2 years, but to give away a 5th and a 6th for a guy who, you're probably unless there's some dissatisfaction with A.J. Dillon. Now we don't know. He looked good last Thursday night, but he didn't seem to be in the game flow to actually get a lot of playing time until Shipley got nicked up.
But they got too many running backs. So, I mean, I'm going to, and this is just out of the blue, before the game on Sunday, you don't pick up a running back and give up that just for 1 week. Somebody's going to be placed on IR or whatever you call it in the NFL. And missed 4 games.
Hey, competitive advantage, because you know what? Both A.J. Dillon and Shipley played well in the game last week. You know what you're going to get in Saquon Barkley. But if they can force Steve Spagnuolo to think about what the who's gonna be playing, and whether it's AJ or whether it's Shipley, he doesn't know which one of those guys. Hey, for all he knows, Saquon Barkley could be be beat up.
They know, and it's not going to make any difference. If you control or limit Saquon Barkley, then you're okay. Then you're okay. And so
that didn't work out for him in Super Bowl 59 though, because he had 25 carries for 59 yards, and Jalen scorched their ass.
Yeah, well, the defense won the game because they kept him without points early and let the Eagles kind of get themselves together.
Howard, they scored. I get it. Cooper DeJean.
Short fields.
Take Cooper DeJean's touchdown away, okay? Mm-hmm. They scored 34 points offensively.
I know, with short fields.
Who cares?
Defense. Okay.
Who cares?
That's why Russell Wilson was a good quarterback, because he's a fraud
Howard,
too.
Football is complementary across the board.
Yep.
Like, no defense wins without an offense, and no offense wins without defense.
Hey, listen.
And conversely, neither one of those succeed without successful special teams. So I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, with the Eagles' defense played at a level that we didn't expect.
Right.
But I'm
Zach
not going to take
was unreal.
I'm not going to take anything away from what Jalen Hurts did.
No, I'm not either. But Zach Bourne was terrific.
Yeah,
he was terrific.
I mean, the defense came ready to play. Yeah. They stepped up and they got the job done. So I don't want to take anything away from Jalen. He's the MVP. All that talk about, Josh Sweat should have been the MVP was nonsense, because Josh really only had 2 sacks.
I think Zach Bourne was the MVP.
Really?
Yep. But they never give it to a defensive guy, so it doesn't matter. It's always the quarterback.
No, that's
I'm
not
okay
true.
with that.
Richard Dent. Richard Dent.
Well, didn't Randy White get an MVP years ago with the Cowboys?
That I don't know. First of all, it's the Cowboys. First of all, it's the Cowboys, and I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Second of all,
I think Larry Brown. I think a cornerback. I think it's very few. I think Larry Brown.
Yeah, Larry Brown did get one.
Yeah, with the Raiders.
The win against the Pittsburgh Steelers with 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So, I mean, it's just whatever. Steve Spagnuolo is not going to worry about whether they picked up a running back. And as long as you know that Saquon Barkley is good, that's all that matters. And Saquon Barkley is good.
well,
It's the threat.
It may create a little doubt in Steve's mind.
Yeah.
You never know. But
Anyway,
anyway,
Landon Dickerson probably not being there for most of the game. The coaches said that Toth did a nice job. He's not Landon Dickerson.
No. I was sitting right here when he went in the game. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Listen, Landon's fine. I guarantee you the lightning delay is what caused the tightening of the lower back. And once your back spasms like that, I don't care. Toradol shot's not going to fix that.
Yeah, but
at his weight.
He went out before the lightning delay.
Well, he got kind of nicked up. I think somebody fell on his leg, but he came back in the game.
Yep.
And then he came out and started the second half. And then his back tightened up a little bit in the second half after the delay. And once he went out with the tight back, they couldn't,
Back problem is worse than a knee. You can back.
Well, I got to think
you're pushing on guys.
Yeah, and I got to think to a certain extent, there's probably some residual from the knee in the summertime.
Yep.
A lot of times when you get off kilter in one area, it affects another area of the body. But I think you'll be fine. I really do. I think you'll be fine for the upcoming game, and they're going to need him.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
Okay, so we got about 10 minutes, about 9 minutes before we go to break. Let's talk about the Jalen Carter suspension.
I'm glad you did.
And your opinion, the NFL is going to count the ejection as his suspension because he didn't get a chance to even play it down. Some people don't like that. Some people are in favor of it. If you're an Eagles fan, you're in favor of it. They fined him $57,000. Now, I'm trying to figure, is that like his game check? Or is that, some fine that they came up with? And then at the other end of the spectrum, do you see the non-suspension right or wrong? Because there's a lot of debate out there about that.
You know what? Here's the way I look at it. I never thought he was going to be suspended.
Really?
And yes, because it's all about television. That's a prime game. It's a 4:25 game on the East Coast. It's a prime game. It's the Super Bowl rematch. They want both teams. I mean, look at college. The NCAA's got no power, and Michigan is a disgrace if they're eligible for the postseason. But they need those teams for television. It's all about the NFL and TV, and you don't want to have the teams out there that aren't at their best, if possible, because it's a prime game and it's a Super Bowl rematch. But here's the thing that I don't understand. He was going to get fined anyway. But if he gets suspended, that's a game check. Mm-hmm. The first game was not a game check because he actually came out ready to play in that game. So I don't think they took away a game check. So don't tell me the first game counted as a suspension because, hey, listen, I didn't think it was going to happen. He was wrong. I know I ripped you on my podcast, on my show, because you said that Dak Prescott spit first. Dak Prescott, man, it's an amazing thing, and I talked to a couple people about it. It's almost a reflex action with men. We always spit, when we're playing and we're doing something.
I don't spit.
I do. When I'm playing golf, every once in a while I'll spit.
No.
It's just, but whatever the case may be, Jalen Carter crossed the line, literally crossed the line. And he was probably trying to talk to Dak, and I'm going to get you, and Dak just what's Dak going to get him riled up for by spitting? It was spitting on the ground. It wasn't at him. All this nonsense. Well, Dak spit first. I don't like Dak as a quarterback, but as a person, I think he's a real stand-up, straightforward guy, even though he's a cowboy. He's one of the few that are cowboys. But I think he's a straightforward guy. And he said, he told him what he told Jason Garrett. I just told him I wasn't spitting at you, and I think he was telling him the truth. But then after he told him that, then Jalen Carter spits on him. He lost control. And Vic Fangio and and you watch the
saw the
news
quote.
conference. Yeah, a quote is, to be a leader. Somebody asked him if he's grown into leadership. To be a leader, you got to be. I'm paraphrasing. You got to be a leader on the field, and he's not a leader on the field. Just play the game. You're really good. The Eagles got a break because coming out of college, he had issues, and he probably should have been one of the first 3 players taken, and he slipped. And the Eagles don't care about that as long as the guy can play, because they think they can get him under control if he's not the best.
See, I'm not defending him.
What he did was wrong.
But
We agree with that.
what he did was wrong. It is
Right.
it is one of the most dehumanizing things that you
Yeah,
could ever
like,
do.
what are you doing?
But let's go back to his college days, because I think people missed the boat on that. Okay. Tell me of a young 20-something-year-old who wasn't in a car racing in college. I did it. There are thousands of kids that don't even play sports to do it, okay? And I've heard people talk about his lack of contrition. They talked about it leading up to the draft. They talked about it last week after this incident. And I call BS, okay? And I'm going to give you 2 reasons.
Go ahead.
One for each, okay? Don't talk about how contrite somebody is or how contrite somebody may be when they just lost a teammate and a training staff member that they were close to, okay?
Yes.
He didn't cause the wreck, okay? They were racing. The other car lost control. The other car crashed. Those 2 people unfortunately died. And I don't know all the details to a T. I don't know whether he hung around or whether he left the scene. I would say that he probably hung around, but when it came out that he was racing, everyone thought that, oh, he had something to do with that. I even see idiots on social media saying, oh, you killed your teammate and all that kind of nonsense, okay?
Well, you say he's not responsible, but he is.
No, he's not.
Well,
No.
he has to share some. Let's put it this way: he has to share some responsibility. What
Why?
he did, he's driving. The reports I saw, he was driving over 100, and the reports I saw, and
You mean to tell me when you were young, Howard, you never raced in your car with a friend of yours?
I never did 100. No, I
No,
never
no,
raced.
no, no,
No,
no.
I know. No, I actually I
can't-
never did. I never did.
Well, I did.
I know, but
And there's plenty of others
here's
that
the other
did.
part of that equation. Was he under the influence of alcohol? And there were reports that he possibly could be, but he was never given a blood test or anything like that afterwards. Do you know the University of Georgia had more DUIs than any other college team in America?
Okay.
And because the coach, when you have great players, and he's a great player, when you have great players, you kind of overlook that, and you get the police to kick it to the curb. But when 2 people
See,
die,
I don't know about that.
I believe that, and there was never a civil suit. I believe there was a settlement made. I'm just suspecting. I don't have any idea. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly because that's what you're supposed to say, that there was a settlement made, so there was no civil suit.
See, there's too many.
You don't tell me
unconfound things.
Yeah, I get it.
And unconfirmed things, I should
Unconfirmed,
say,
yep.
when it comes to this, okay? You don't know whether alcohol was involved. You have no way to verify that.
Nope.
I think when 2 people die, it is a dereliction of duty by those cops, no matter who it is or where it is or what the situation is, not to find out whether alcohol was involved.
I think allegedly those 2 people did have alcohol in their system.
Okay.
So I would assume that they were, and again, allegedly assume.
So my question is, was Jalen at fault for that, or was the young kid who was driving the car?
I think they both have to share in the responsibility, but he's moved on from that. Whatever it was, whether they settled it before a civil suit, he's moved on.
Howard, but
and
my
he's
point-
had a chance to rectify himself
Right.
as a person.
Right.
Okay, and the only reason that we even bring this up, the
Because
college thing, is because of him being
there's
stupid.
There's a pattern.
Yeah,
a
to
lot of
spit on
people.
somebody.
A lot of people would say there's a pattern, but I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna move on to my next point.
Okay.
Okay. He has to live every day of his life knowing that he was in the car racing next to two people that he probably cared really deeply about, okay? If you don't think that there's a level of contrition there, that what he deals with on a daily basis, okay, how dare someone say that he's not contrite when it comes to that?
Then be a
He's still young.
A leader.
He's still young.
He's 25 years old,
He's
right?
still young. Howard, you think? Listen, let me tell you something. You think I was mature enough at 25 years old to make all the right decisions? Okay. I could take you
What's
through.
What's he making? $10 million a year?
It doesn't matter. See, now we want to talk about money matures people. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, I'm saying money. It's not a word. Unmatures people.
But that's what I'm saying. If money does not mature people. So let's not talk about the money, how much money he's making. They're all making an ungodly amount of money.
Did you see the T-shirt he was wearing after the game?
No.
Okay. Do you know what the T-shirt said?
What did it say?
This year, I'm a rich man. You know what? People don't want to see that. I
understand that.
But part of the crowd.
But this is the generation that we're dealing with, man.
You make, I'm not counting your money, and then people don't count money, and they all try to count. We make more money than, I guess, a lot of people. There's a lot of people that make more money than us. But it shouldn't change who you are, and to kind of put it in people's face, especially after a situation like that. Go to the equipment guys. Hey, give me an Eagles T-shirt. Hey, I'm not going to read that.
Listen, he probably didn't even.
I'm not going to wear that.
He probably the same way he didn't think about it when he wore it leaving the house. He didn't think about it when he put it on and left the stadium after everything that's happened.
When I saw him speaking after the game, I'm saying, what the hell is he wearing that
I get it,
T-shirt
man. It's
for?
just, you know what it is? It is truly this generation and how they look at the world and how they deal with the world, okay?
That's the difference.
So before I go to break, I want to deal with the contrition after the game, okay? I thought it was pretty damn good what he did, how he explained
took responsibility.
But still, there were still people out there. Oh, he wasn't contrite at all. He acted like it wasn't even a big deal.
I'm not one of those people. I think he took responsibility. What he did was wrong. It doesn't show good character. It doesn't show leadership. You lost a player, a really good player, for a really big game. And the Eagles probably should have lost if CeeDee Lamb catches that pass inside 3 minutes to go. But whatever the case, they didn't lose. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, doesn't count. But part of that was the fact that he was not on the field to create a better pass rush, to help a corner that probably shouldn't be starting for a championship caliber team. But whatever that case may be,
and we'll talk about him.
I'm okay with him, what he said after the game. And I think if he doesn't learn from this,
no, this is a teaching moment.
Yeah.
If there's another infraction, the Eagles have to think real hard and serious about what they're trying to offer him, next year, and his ability to handle that moving forward. So, listen, you talked about when it comes to the CeeDee Lamb and dropping those balls. You know what I like to say? If Grandma had stones, she'd be Grandpa, right?
I know.
All right. Well, let's go to a break right quick. When I come back, the
game was too close, but I thought it was going to be close, and part of that was, and we can talk about it. Them not playing, them being the players, not playing one snap in a game in the preseason, I think hurts.
Oh, you don't get no argument from me because I pound the table when it comes to that. It's impossible. I would love to track the injuries that occur in week 1 and week 2, opposed to if players actually played, to see how many teams endure these types of injuries and what the product actually looks like. The first 4 weeks are nothing more than preseason for the starters, and basically what you're doing is you're hoping that you can get through the first 4 games, with a good record.
And players get hurt in practice. There's teams. The Chargers, I think, it was either an offensive or defensive lineman, lost a player in practice. I think they lost him for the season.
It's going to happen, man.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen in practice. So it's just playing the games. But I don't agree with Nick on that.
All right, let's get a quick break. When we come back, Howard and I will continue to hammer away at some of these topics, and talk about go a little more in depth about what's going on with the Eagles, and then look ahead to the Eagles in Kansas City this week. Be back in a sec.
I know what you're thinking. Total glow up. What's her secret? Fine, I'll spill. I totally upgraded with Verizon. Everyone gets a free phone with any plan, even if you're already a customer, like me. Now I have Google Gemini. It's like a little glam squad in my pocket. Gemini, what eye makeup goes with this lipstick?
I'd suggest a classic cat eye.
Wow, setting the bar high for daycare pickup. Get in on this.
There's a number on the screen.
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 There is a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come join our team. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Let's see. Let's jump into Jalen Hurts a little bit. A lot of people will look at him statistically, and they have, and complain about the inefficiencies in the passing game. But all this kid does is win. I think he's like 48 or 49 and 20 or some ridiculous number like that. And I always ask the question, would you rather have a quarterback throw for 300 yards, and you lose the game, or would you rather have your quarterback, rush for 65, 70 yards, throw for 150, rush for 2 touchdowns, and throw for 1 and win the football game? Thursday night, he looked a lot like he did in 2024, but he keeps winning, and people keep complaining. What's your take?
I'm okay with it because he's only doing what the coaches ask him to do. And I know in talking to a couple of the coaches last year, they set a number. And again, it's based on the game's kind of changed a little bit. It used to be it was the running game, then it became the passing game, and now it's back to running backs are more important. It goes in cycles.
It should have always been that way.
Well, yeah, but you got to have you got to have an offensive line, and then you got to have a running game with that offensive line. But they set a number of 21 to 23 passes. That's their optimum number for Jalen Hurts. And if they keep it within that number, then there's less chance for turnovers because the more times you put it up in the air, the more times you have a chance to throw an interception. When you see quarterbacks, Joe Flacco, who I like, and Cleveland's still trying to figure out, obviously their third-round pick's going to be their quarterback. But
no, he's not.
I think he is. But whatever, we can get into that down the line. Whatever the case may be, Joe Flacco turns the ball over too much, and I think the coach told me he's got a really good arm, but he does turn the ball over too much. Their plus-minus led the AFC in turnovers last year. They led the AFC in turnovers. So, but he has to throw a lot of passes because their running game isn't as good as the Eagles. So as long as he stays inside right around 23, he's going to be fine. And he's never going to have great passing numbers. The percentages, I think, are a lot of nonsense because there's a lot of short passes. So I don't care about the completion percentage. I care about, is he effective in what he does, and he's effective in what he does. And there's going to be some teams that aren't going to let him get out of the pocket like the Cowboys did. A couple of times they didn't let him get out. But he's doing exactly what they want him to do. So I'm fine with that.
I think people are a little bit disillusioned sometimes because, the 2023 season was the impetus for last year, okay?
Yep.
People forget, like, he was a turnover machine in 2023. Although, you know, he put up some good numbers. He had like 15 interceptions and like 5 fumbles or something crazy. And then they come into 2024 last year, and, you know, if people have forgotten, the first 2 series against Green Bay down in Sao Paulo, Brazil, he went interception, fumble. The first 2 possessions. And the defense stood up and kept the Green Bay to 2 field goals. And that's what kept the Eagles in that game.
Yep.
Okay? And then, you know, they won one, they lost one, they won one, they lost one. They go to the bye, they come back. The offensive line is like, hey, Nick, you know, we got one of the best offensive lines in the league. We need to run the football, you know? And I don't think their intent or Nick's intent was ever to run it at a clip that they ran it with Saquon. Saquon had 345 carries last year, just running the ball. Another 33, I believe, in receptions. You know, so I don't think that was really the plan, but that's how it kind of morphed.
You know, I think you saw they took him out a lot in the game. They know they have to keep his carries down. Otherwise, he's not going to be there at the end of the season. And not going to be physically there at the end of the season, physically good enough. So they know what they have to do. That's why they rotate some of these other backs. But, yeah, they know what they have to do, but you have to run the football. The offensive line is, obviously, we both know, everybody knows, they're really, 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 really good. So once Saquon gets to the second level, then he's really dangerous. And to get to the second level, the offensive line's got to do a really good job, and that's what they do. So together, I don't think Saquon could do it without this offensive line. Well, he's not going to rush for 2,000 yards without this offensive line. But he's not going to do it because in New York with the Giants, their offensive line sucked. So although he was a good back, you're not going to do it unless your offensive line, and he's got enough, obviously, ability and what he does and his athleticism. Once he gets to the second level, then he's really good.
I give you 2 things, and this is why I think people underestimate how important Jalen is to this offense. And I tell you, I'll take you to a game in the past, and then I'll bring you forward to show you why Jalen is so much better than people give him credit for. Okay, so you remember the Week 16 game against the Washington Commanders? Jalen gets knocked out of the game.
Yep.
At the time, the Eagles are ahead in the game, but he gets knocked out of the game. Okay, Saquon's doing what Saquon's doing, and all of a sudden, Kenny Pickett comes in the game. Okay,
I'm not a Kenny Pickett guy.
Kenny Pickett comes in the game, and all of a sudden, we can't run the ball 1 iota, and people just don't understand why. This is why Jalen, to me, is one of the top 5 quarterbacks, one of the best quarterbacks, because people miss everything that he brings to the table. The minute that you took the RPO away, the minute you took the read option away, the minute that you took away the threat that when Jalen put that ball in Saquon's belly and he could potentially pull it and take off and run
him
it.
to Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett stinks.
I understand that, but Kenny Pickett nor Tanner McKee is going to run any RPOs. No. They're not going to run any read options. No. Those are the plays that allow Saquon the ability to do what he does, because every time that Jalen sticks that ball out like that, guess what? That end guy on the line of scrimmage, he has to stay home.
Yep.
And because if he doesn't, the threat of Jalen pulling the ball and taking off is real. Okay, and they're playing with one less guy on defense than they think that they really are because of that.
You know what's amazing? When you look at the quarterbacks that come out of college now, and a lot of the quarterbacks in the NFL, they all have the ability to run. And some of them, like Josh Allen, as big as he is, he's got the ability to run, but he's a great passer.
Right.
Obviously, he's a great passer. Lamar Jackson, I think, only threw 19 passes, and they had 40 points. They should have won the game. Without the fumble, there was a couple of plays in that game that Baltimore screwed up. The idiot on special teams that tries to dive at the ball to down it instead of just knocking it back, and they get the ball in the 2 rather than the 20. they have to use up more time to go down. They're down by 15 at the time. So that's one of them. The fumble changed the outcome. But the reality is Lamar Jackson wins and scores 40 points because he had Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that changes the game. It changes the game a lot. But
a
quarterback with a running back does not have to pass the ball.
I would say this too. The same thing that makes Jalen so valuable to Saquon is the same thing that makes, Lamar that valuable to Derrick Henry, because that same threat, Now, let's take it a step further as far as the pass is concerned with Jalen, because what people missed in the Super Bowl is his ability to be a field general and stand at the line of scrimmage and decipher what needs to be done and get the team out of bad plays into good plays and out of good plays into better plays, okay? And the thought process that goes along with the read option, always making the correct read. All of those things come into play here. So a lot of people don't give him a lot of credit for being intelligent, for being a field general, for being really smart. But I don't see it that way. I think that he is a vital piece of this offense that makes everybody successful. He even makes Saquon successful, in my opinion.
You say a lot of people don't give him credit. These geniuses in Philadelphia have him in the top 5 as quarterback. So obviously they're giving him credit. I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback.
Well, I do. I think it depends.
He's good. It's just
I think it depends on who the geniuses are and what it is that they're talking about.
The fans always give him a lot of credit.
So, but my thing is, are you a top 5 quarterback because you can throw the ball all over the map?
You know what? I don't really care whether you're tough. The game is about winning. It's not where you're ranked as a quarterback.
So
he's already got $50-some million a year. It's okay.
Don't care about the money. I care about the wins and the losses.
Yeah, but he's already got his contract.
I get it.
His agent cares about the contract. So he's locked in for the rest of his life. He's locked in. And now the only thing left is to win. It's not where you're ranked as quarterback. Who gives a... I really don't care where he's ranked as quarterback. I care that he wins games.
And he does that.
Okay? And that's the point. He's probably 7-9, but but that's not the point. He wins games.
Just the fact that he wins puts him in the top 5. Okay? Because when I look at the top 5, and I don't want to hear any crap about the roster that's around him, okay? Because
do you think Joe Burrow wouldn't have won here?
Look at Joe Burrow, what he has around him.
He's
Are
got
you kidding
wide
me?
receivers.
He's got 2 wide receivers and a tight end.
His offensive line's not good.
They got to the Super Bowl with exactly what he has right now, and they lost. Okay. So Jalen's been the 2, Joe's been the 1. Josh Allen hasn't been the 1. Lamar hasn't been the 1. Justin Herbert hasn't been to 1.
Because Jalen Hurts has been to 2 Super Bowls, do you think he's better than Josh Allen?
Listen, if I'm building a team, it'd be a hard pick between the 2, because guess what? They both win. They both do, Howard, what's necessary to win.
On this team would win too. Josh Allen is.
I can't
I'm
concern
so
myself
amazed with this guy.
I can't concern myself with what the hell Josh Allen does, because you know what?
Well, I'm just talking about where they rank.
I understand,
quarterbacks.
but then you can't say I'm comparing these. I hate the comparisons, and then throw up the comparisons between those 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, but I don't care that he's ranked in the top 5. I just care that he wins. That's all fans should care about, is the fact that he wins. I don't care where he's ranked. He could be ranked 30th. If he wins a Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. That's my point. He ain't winning no
Super Bowl ranked 30th. I can tell you that.
No, no, because the rest of the team sucks then too.
I mean, and listen, you and I got so much on here, man, that and I only got about 15 minutes left, but we just this is organic, so I'm just gonna let it flow.
Go ahead, go.
I just think that
by the way, thanks for the $100 that you lost to me.
Okay. Don't spend it all in one place.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
You and I have had some major debates about the run game over the year, and you've come over to the dark side as far as the run is concerned, because the theory used to be, Howard, okay, throw the ball early, run the ball in 4 minutes late after you get a lead.
There was a period of time that teams threw the ball 61% of the time in the first half to get a lead, and then they'd run a ball. Look at San Francisco.
How successful were they with it, though? That's
Joe Montana won Super Bowls.
No, Joe wasn't doing it like that. Joe had a running game, and they
only had one runner that rushed for over 1,000 yards.
It didn't matter though, because a lot of times, look, from a defensive perspective, it's not about how many yards you get on us. It's about your ability to be efficient enough to make us stay committed to stopping the run. Okay? Because if you can rip off 4, 5, 6 anytime that you want, every time you stick that ball out, I got to honor the fact that you're sticking it out, and you may give it, and you may rip us for 5, 6, 7, 8 yards.
Get it.
Okay,
I get it.
So for the team who can run it, it opens up their entire playbook to be able to run anything that they want. That's the argument I've had so many times, with Joe Banner and some of the run first, pass first gurus, as far as football is concerned. Because guess what? Not everybody can be Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. There are a finite amount of the quarterbacks that play in the National Football League. But for the masses of quarterbacks that play in the National Football League, they need a running game. And why do you think you had so many quarterbacks that fail in the last 10 to 15 years trying to run offenses that way? Because you can't ask those guys to put the ball the same way that you said you probably can't ask, any quarterback to throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. That mentality was forcing quarterbacks into throwing the ball early. They would turn it over, teams were losing, quarterbacks weren't succeeding, and GMs were wondering why. And now we've had a reversion back to the running game. And I think you're going to see more teams put the emphasis on running the football and going play action and throwing the ball off of play action.
Well, Minnesota won on Monday night with their quarterback. Did they not win with their quarterback? Okay.
They made an adjustment in the second half.
Okay.
But he looked like trash in the first half.
Love was, well, it was his first pro game after being hurt for a year.
Well, the facts are the facts.
Well, yeah. But so some teams can do it. But the quarterback gets a lot of those running yards. When you look at the rush numbers, you say, well, the quarterback, because the quarterbacks are so athletic now. I don't even know what Lamar Jackson had on Sunday night, but I'm sure he probably had 60-some yards rushing, which is enough. But Derrick Henry had 175 yards rushing. But the big problem is he fumbled the ball. It's just, it was him. It was him that fumbled it, right? I think he was.
Yeah, it was him.
Yeah. No, it just. But hey, listen. The quarterback, things go in cycles. It was a running game, then it was the passing game. Now it's the running game, because people don't want to turn the ball over, and when you throw the football, you're more apt, obviously, to turn the ball over. So I guess that's all part of it. I think it's more exciting to see a passing game. I love to watch a passing game, but that in today's game, a lot of teams don't win like that. Green Bay will probably win like that. I don't know.
Throwing the ball out of bounds will get you beat, because it's just a matter of time. Because once you run across that defense that you can't run the ball sufficiently enough to trick them, and then they're able to disguise what they do, it's like the tale of two halves for the Eagles last week. Okay, Jalen looked fantastic in the first half. Not only was he throwing the ball well, he was making great decisions in the run game.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, you got to halftime. They came out. The first series, they went 10 plays, 32 yards. Elliott kicks a 68-yard field goal, and they punt the rest of the game. The next 3 possessions of punts before they actually kneel down 3 times after the A.J. Brown 11-yard catch, the Jalen Hurts scramble, and they kneel 3 times, game is over, okay? So what did the Dallas Cowboys adjust to that created the tale of two halves? I'll tell you what they did, okay? They loaded the box and said, we're just not going to let Barkley, get going. And then instead of sitting back and playing pure zone, we're going to bring pressure. Because one of the faulty...
then the quarterback's got to take over and win the game.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. One of the faulty things that I don't like that the Eagles do, the Eagles like condensed formations. where they'll take their wide receivers and they'll cut their splits down. And the other thing that Kevin Petula was talking about with the heavy box, guess what? When you cut your formations down, you bring more guys into the box. So it might not necessarily look like a heavy box because you still may be in too high safety. But when you cut everything down, guess what? Those wide receivers are going inside to either block linebackers or block safeties, and those cornerbacks are shooting gaps because now all of a sudden they don't have anybody. There's nobody to block them.
Right.
You know, so a lot of times offenses can turn light boxes into heavy boxes just by the formations that they put out. You know, so listen.
If the Eagles only score 3 points and a half,
right,
they're not going to win many games.
Well, you're 100% correct. So they got to look at, and the other thing is, okay, the blitzes. Okay, they start bringing the blitzes at Jalen. Okay, and he mastered it in the Super Bowl. Every single time the Spags came with something, he made them pay. Last night looked like the previous 2 years as far as him handling the blitz. And for me, Howard, it's like every single offense has sight adjustments and hot routes built into their offense.
Yes.
Either the Eagles don't have it or Jalen ain't seeing it. And I have a hard time believing that he just doesn't see it.
I think it's a little of both.
Really?
Yeah. I had Mark Sanchez on one of my shows, and he did mention, and he does some games, and I guess he looks at tape when he does the Eagles game. He saw that Jalen didn't recognize the hot route in a couple of games, I guess, that he did with the Eagles. So, and I think Mark's a pretty sharp guy, and as a quarterback, you know, you kind of you look for that stuff more than other people. Now, sometimes he does, and he says on third, he mentioned I'm paraphrasing the comment. He said on third down, he had a hot route and he didn't see it. Then they went for it on fourth down and he threw a dime, so he got himself out of it by making a great pass. Well, if that stuff happens, it can't happen a lot. Otherwise, he's not going to be successful against the better teams.
Well, I think some of it is, you know, people got to understand progression-wise. Like, if your progression starts left to right and the blitz is coming from the right side, then it's highly likely that he might not see it. But you got to see guys creeping. The other thing is, you know, when you condense these formations, you create scenarios and situations for slot corners to come, corner cat blitzes that he might not necessarily see, but he's starting to get to that point where, you know, Tom Brady was like a couple of years ago. Everybody was like, you know, man, when do you plan on retiring? And Tom was like, why would I retire? I got the test I got the answers to the test. Why would I require? Like you could, like people, guys like him, and Peyton Manning, you know, and Patrick Mahomes to a certain extent, you can't show them anything that they haven't seen. So they pick it up and they see everything. Jalen's kind of getting to that place, okay? Well, he's been in the league. This is his fifth year, going to his fifth year. There shouldn't be much that defenses can show him that he hasn't seen. So he's got to start picking some of that stuff up. Like, for instance, if you're gonna bring a blitz to the running back side, okay, and then you're gonna release your back hot, you gotta throw the ball to the running back.
Yeah.
And there was a couple where Saquon was like one-on-one, and more times than not, what happens is if Saquon releases hot, okay, that means that either a safety or a linebacker's got to come get him, and he's out there in all that grass all by himself, okay. And I bet your $100 that whoever's got him one-on-one ain't bringing him down.
No.
Jalen has to see that, and he has to make that throw.
So you're saying he's got to do a better job?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they got to do a better job.
Right.
Excuse me. They got to do a better job, Kevin Petullo and Nick Sirianni, of putting him in situations and circumstances, you know, where he sees that, okay, and makes that throw.
You know what? I'm going to go really off track here because it came to mind. You mentioned Tom Brady has it all. This guy, I think Joe Montana is the greatest of all time, but we can debate that. But Joe Montana was great. Never lost a Super Bowl game. Never threw an interception in a Super Bowl game. But why is Brady so insecure? When I say insecure, don't tell me you don't notice it with his looks. Gronk said, "Man, you always look so young," and he talks about that diet he's got, and you know, drinking vitamins and all that nonsense. You see this guy at, what, 46, 47 years old, does not have one wrinkle in his face. What do you think that's? What do you think?
Botox, man. Come on, you
Okay,
know what it
that's
is.
good. How many times has his hair color changed over the season? Go back and look at pictures. 5 years ago, you see some gray sneaking in, and all of a sudden now it's pitch black. Or not pitch black, it's like a dark brown. And why do you have to be so vain? We all age. We all are going to get there. You know, Tom, you're a great, great, great player, recognized by so many as the greatest of all time. Don't be so insecure with the way you look.
Can I share something with you
Okay,
in that vein?
Yeah. I just had to point that
People-
out because Gronk pointed it out on the air.
People think that football players are so much different than average people. And I used to tell people all the time, because my mom raised me this way. She said, look, son, you're not better than anybody, but there ain't nobody out there better than you. Now, that's perspective, okay? But we all have our own insecurities.
Yep.
Some of us are better at hiding it than others, whether you're a football player, a professional athlete, or just a regular person, okay? So you never know what's going on inside of a person, you know? And as a professional athlete, you know, I can be extremely secure. And I know a lot of athletes, man, a lot of athletes. And you would be surprised. You'd be surprised at how insecure some of these pro athletes are away from what they're great at. Like if you're a great football player, great basketball player, great baseball player, like you step on the field of competition and they just ooze, you know, confidence. You know what I'm saying? But you get them out of that arena and they're doing things in another, and they are like so afraid that someone may see their insecurities that they don't even know what to do with themselves. It's just like you can see the eyes and everything just.
But obviously he's one of them.
We all got it. Don't act like you ain't got some insecurities, man.
Well, yeah, I do, but
I'm 60. I got some insecurities,
well,
bro.
You know, I'm a little older than you are, and just hey, listen, you know, you try to stay healthy, you try to do the right things, you try to eat, but you know, come on, Tom, you're great. Everybody ages. It's okay.
No, we all fighting Father Time, man.
Yeah, I know.
We're all fighting Father Time
wins, but
listen. Just because he wins doesn't mean that I ain't got to fight him every step of the way.
But he's
okay?
too good to worry about
I
that.
am today on day 8 of a 14-day fast. All I've had is water in 14 days. Why am I doing it? Because I'm trying to lean up. I'm trying to look young for this young wife that I got back here that I got to keep up with. Hey, listen, man, I'm going to fight
fasting.
it. Maybe that's my insecurities, but guess what? I'm going to fight it every step of the way.
I try to
Why
stay.
not?
I was heavy when I was younger, and you probably saw me in my heavier days. And I
don't think you could have ran from Buddy back then. But then again, he wasn't fast enough to catch you. So.
Right. So, but now that I got to a point, and I just want to stay there. But I know we all age, and but Tom Brady. I'm not Tom Brady. Come on, Tom. It's okay. It's okay, Tom. It's okay.
Listen, he's 40-something, and he ain't surrendering.
No.
I ain't surrendering. It ain't in his DNA to surrender.
All right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Thanks.
Listen, man.
Thanks for the 100.
I appreciate you coming in the studio.
By the way,
This has
why
been
am I
great.
dressed better than you are?
Hey, listen, because I get dressed for games. The podcast is when I get to let my hair down. I can cuss. I can say stuff.
You let your hair down. You don't have any to let down.
Hey, listen, man. Again, you want to know why there ain't no hair there? Because it's all gray. And I'm not showing it to nobody. The only one that gets to see it is my wife.
Okay.
Listen, man, I appreciate you coming in. Thanks for joining the show. All right, folks, that's the show for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It wasn't entirely all football.
Yeah,
but it was fun.
We kind of touched on the outskirts when we didn't touch on football.
It was fun. All right. Listen, I'll see you guys right back here next week. Hopefully we'll be celebrating another Birds victory. As usual.
I think it's a tough game, by the way.
No, it ain't.
Kansas City's got to win or they're cooked.
Kansas City is on the decline.
Okay.
They've got no wide receivers.
They are.
They got no wide receivers. They cannot fix their offensive line issues. They got some chinks in the armor on the defensive side of the ball.
0-2,
Count
there's
on
a good percentage you don't make the playoffs.
You want to put that $100? You want to put that $100 back? Oh, okay. All right, we're out of here. Listen, make sure that you guys be good to each other and take care of each other. But most importantly, make sure you guys love each other. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
Gentlemen, are you ready for a wardrobe update? Introducing Divine Nine's Custom Menswear, your clothier for truly unique, custom-made threads. With Divine Nine, you can design your own one-of-a-kind suit, jacket, slacks, shirts, golf pants, and shorts, perfectly handcrafted by our skilled artisans who will bring your vision to life. Prepare to stand out from the crowd with Divine Nine's Custom Clothier, official clothier of Seth Joyner. Custom clothing made for you.
If you understand that success is built on trusted relationships and dependable performance, Mid-Penn Bank is the right bank for you. We're on a mission to prove that the right bankers can make a big difference. We work harder, we get things done, and we're in your corner. With financial centers strategically located throughout the greater Philadelphia region and new locations in central New Jersey, we're ready to bring you the best in commercial and personal banking. Call or visit us today to connect with a professional Mid-Penn banker. Member FDIC. Go Eagles!
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges, from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.